Joining me now, first on CNBC, welcome back Kevin Plank, the founder and CEO of Under Armour, and Patrik, Frisk, the president of Under Armour. First time on CNBC, welcome to you.
Thank you, Sara.
So Kevin, what were you thinking when you saw the reaction? You guys were finally ready to open up to investors and analysts yesterday after 3 years, and the stock dropped pretty sharply on some of your guidance.
I think people took a look very early on. The good news about yesterday is we had a chance to talk to over 100 institutional investors and really lay out a 5-year plan of our story, which is, it's complete, it's transformational, and it's something which covers everything from structure to strategy to culture. And I think we're incredibly proud of the progress. And I think when you talk to those who got a chance to see it, to touch the products and have exposure, over 23 of our executives across the organization for a comprehensive review, I think when you look into the fundamentals, I think that they're there, and we've got a very clear play. We've called the play, and now it's a matter of execution. So, that's on us, and we'll let time tell.
Yeah, and partly on this guy. So, Patrik, two big sources of disappointment that I'm reading about this morning. Number one, on the near-term outlook in terms of a turnaround, and number two, on the longer-term expectation for North America, growing mid-single digits, which is less than Nike has baked in.
Yeah, I think as we came out of 2016 into 2017, we had a inventory situation that was building. We've been working through 2018 to get that under control, and as we turn the corner into 2019, we're building back into more of a premium full-price brand. I think what we tried to lay out yesterday was how we were going to go through this protect this house timeframe between 17 and 19 in about a low to mid single-digit range, and then as we exit that in 2020, more of a mid to high single-digit range, and then in the out years returning into a double-digit range.
Were you purposely trying to be conservative?
Well, I think it was more also about thinking through holistically the entire company. So we're moving from this more North American-centric company into this global entity where we're going from a 25% share in North America and now moving into 42% international over this time frame. And what we were trying to talk about yesterday was really the EPS, right? We're giving a 40% cumulative CAGR EPS over this period of this next 5 years, and a 20% ROIC at the end of it. Generating more than $2.5 billion of cash flow in that time frame, and that was really the story. So yes, we're a growth company, and we're returning to stronger growth in the out years, and we're becoming more of a global company, and we're giving much better shareholder return.
Clearly international is the growth story, Kevin. But what's the problem in North America? This was a market that you dominated, led to your growth in the early years. Why are you having trouble turning it around?
This isn't about the market. This is about Under Armour. And so how do we make sure that we're strong, that we have the pieces? So when you look at the transformations we've been through, use two great examples. One would be on product. As we've gone from a head of apparel, head of footwear, head of accessories, so now we have 9 distinct categories where we can drive and say, how do we get incredibly close to the consumer and make sure that we know who they are and what they expect? And so empowering that with our teams of making sure that this isn't about any one person, but it's truly cultural across the organization. We've done the same thing from an international standpoint. We say becoming a global brand. We have to do that in our largest market. Like North America is central to that. And so we want to do that through innovation. We want to do that energy and excitement. It's things like Stephen Curry dropping and wearing, the new Curry 6 last night that he debuted in Toronto. It's products like the Hover upgrade that we have. So innovation is going to be the name of the game. The financial metrics are just a byproduct of what we do to make sure that we're delivering for that consumer with an expectation of product, that things that they never knew they needed, and once they have them, wonder how they ever live without them.
You're declaring yourself a global company and focused on international growth at a time where we're in a trade war with the second largest economy in the world. You get 18% of your product right now from China, and I know you're moving some out, but doesn't that make you vulnerable?
No, I think, first of all, I think in terms of a sourcing strategy, our sourcing strategy that took us to that 18% started 5 years ago. And I think our industry as a whole has been balancing their sourcing strategies for over 10 years. So we're going to continue to balance our sourcing strategies.
Moving to Vietnam and South Africa.
It's part of a natural progression. It's got nothing to do with current
politics. It's not coming in North
politics.
America, is it?
I think it's really two things that are happening. One is the actual balanced strategy that you want to have. You want to make sure that you're positioned in, from a global perspective. The other thing is also speed to market. So you got to get prepared for making sure that you're also have an ability to go faster into the market. And the third thing is local for local. parts of the world, you have to actually produce product in market, like in China, to be able to supply that market. So it's a combination of the three things. But sourcing strategies have to develop over a longer period of time, right? I mean, where we are today was really thought of like 2 years ago, because our calendar has a certain length to it. So we're not reactive to the current marketplace. We're more thinking about it long term. We have to, because we make 270 million pieces a year, right?
I guess that's what I'm getting at, Kevin. Is it hard to think long term in an environment where there's so much political instability in places like Europe? You're pinning your hopes there. And who knows what's going to happen with US and China? The narrative changes every day, every tweet, every photo opportunity. How do you think long term in this kind of environment?
I think transformation is getting it away from any one thing. I think we're a business that was built on a lot of forces of will, a lot of forces of personality. The ability to bring a partner like Patrik on, where we can actually systemize what we're doing and get it away from, I've got a great idea, here's something that we think could sell a lot of units today. That's the maturing of our company that we're incredibly proud of and we can present. That's what yesterday was. It wasn't about what does one individual think, but how do we demonstrate that we now have a complete process, and we talk about going from structural, from strategy, and then into cultural, making sure that the entire business, feels that way, that it's not waiting for the force of will of one individual, but it really becomes this balanced approach. And so that's the 4 regions and the new operating model. That's the category management that we've gone to, and that's all going to manifest itself in an amazing product that 16 to year-olds are going to say, that's the greatest thing in the world, I want to participate because that product makes me better.
Don't forget, if we were trying to convey the message yesterday of 40% CAGR in EPS over the next 5 years, ending up with a 20% ROIC, generating over $2.5 billion in positive cash flow. I think that's a great story.
But there's such great expectations already based. I mean, this is a stock that still trades at 60 times earnings and had run up more than 50% into yesterday. Why do you think it's such a controversial name?
Well, I think,
controversial.
Controversial, I think.
It's a battleground stock.
Yeah, I think, ultimately, to answer that question, earnings need to go up, right? So I think for us, short term, we are focused on that, because you need earnings, you need cash to be able to invest. And that's really how we think about it. So for us, the next period that we're going through here from 20 to 22, and that's what we laid out yesterday, is an investment into capabilities, is an investment into innovation, is an investment into our people, is an investment into our regions to really make sure that we stay competitive, become more competitive as a global brand.
I heard you, Kevin, mention the word cultural changes a number of times. Clearly, there have been questions. First of all, how do you have a policy up to February 2018 that lets executives charge strip clubs on a corporate card?
Yeah, an email from our CFO that's clarifying a lot of different policies doesn't define exactly what that is. And so we want to be clear, is that we want to have an environment which is incredibly diverse and inclusive, that every teammate feels like Under Armour is a great place to work. And
but
so
is it an
no
no
one would ever tolerate that. So I want to make sure I set the record straight on that. What we have is we want to make sure that our team feels like we're building something that they're moving toward that they can be really proud of. And so, the environment that we work on at Under Armour, it's like, we put a lot of metrics in place. We put, our new structure in place. We put in a lot of this work over the last 2 years, and we've been clear, we're in year 2 of a 3-year transformation. So all these things that are coming out, it's difficult. We're in our 14th year as a public company. That much time in the arena means that at some points you're going to have to retool the machine. And again, we had to do it. We were doing 100 miles an hour trying to change tires, and now we've slowed down, to 30 or 40 miles an hour. But it's something that's happening, and we're evolving it. And now we're looking forward at the Under Armour we're about to become, and incredibly proud of what we've done to get to this moment. But there's work to be done, like in any organization.
So when you read about the fact that Under Armour is having a Me Too moment, is that an exaggeration, or are you really doing some soul searching?
I don't think there's a company in the world right now that would say we've got all the metrics that we want. The one thing that I know is that as we look to promote and include diversity and inclusion across the organization, that we make sure we have women in leadership, we have people of color that are helping to drive, because we're looking for a management team, an executive base, not unlike our board, that reflects the constituency that we're trying to sell to each and every day. And I think we're making great strides toward that. And again, we're not starting from zero. We have an amazing base right now. And so the way a story may play out is not always exactly the facts. And so it's our job to make sure we communicate that story. That's what we had the opportunity to do yesterday to a slew of investors, and I think the reaction from those who were there and saw it, I think was really positive. And talking about things like a 40% EPS growth CAGR over the next 5 years, talking about the free cash flow
generation. Talking about your relationship, which I think a lot of investors really wanted to see up close, which is why I'm glad we got this interview with both of you, because with some of the management departures, which are still happening as recently as last week, or have been reported, They want to know what this is like. And we saw on Instagram you guys are matching clothing. I mean, there was a big question, Kevin. You're the founder, you're a bold personality, you're the CEO and the leader of this company. How much room you would give him to come in and change the operating focus and execution
He's
of
given
this
me a lot
company?
of room. I think that the manifestation of that was really yesterday, because that was a joint effort to present that plan. I think what you saw yesterday too was more of our leadership stepping up and actually presenting. And I think one of the feedback from the investors that I talked to yesterday was that they were really appreciative of getting insight into the strong bench that we actually do have at Armour.
Is there anything that you want to do that he won't let you do?
No.
That I can think of.
Look, I mean, we work at it. We get together for an hour twice a week. We sit down, and sometimes we'll sit with somebody else between us and make sure it's the marriage counseling, because this is like Patrik has a point of view. I have a point of view. How we meet on the bridge is part of what that partnership is, which I think is defining of what the quote unquote evolved Under Armour is meant to look like. And so,
and I'm 18 months in now, and I really feel, if you ask me how do you feel about right now, right today, and I feel we're at the point where I hope we'd be, and I think that's really an exciting time, I think, for Under Armour, exciting time for me, exciting time for our relationship, because we're stronger, we're better.
What's been the biggest change you've made in 18 months?
I think it's focus. I think it's focus, it's alignment, it's process, it's discipline.
It's margin improvement, isn't it?
It's all of those things, and I think Under Armour is a great brand, and when I get really excited, really excited is when I come into a brand that's bigger than its business, and I think that's where Under Armour is right now. It's a brand, and we see it across the world. I mean, there's a lot of consumers that just longs for this brand out there, and I think that's what makes me really excited. So the progress makes me excited. Where we're at right now makes me excited. The improvements that you see makes me excited. And I think the plan that we put forward yesterday now should give shareholders also a good sense of in terms of shareholder return going forward, is also going to be strong.
You also got Steph Curry, who's a big asset right now, I think, in some of the cultural issues you've been dealing with. You mentioned the new Curry 6s, which came out this week. What have you got planned when it comes to girls' shoes, and what's demand like?
I think everybody found love when little Riley sent Stephen a message and just said, why can't I find my shoes in girls' sizes? And so, as a brand that's had the last 3 women's national championships in the NCAA, most recently with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, it's a tremendous opportunity for us to make sure that she does feel represented. And so we corrected that right away on the website. We make sure that girls' sizes are there, because there's a lot of these efforts I don't think we've been as clear, and I think this is an opportunity for us in this moment to make sure that she always feels represented, is that we want girls participating. We don't want girls dropping out of sports. Is that and selfishly, it's a massive market for us. More importantly, it's the right thing to do, and I think that's everything. When we think about diversity, inclusion, all the things that you deal with as a company right now, if you're doing them just for you think it might help business, you're doing it because it's the right thing for your business, and it's the right thing to do. And so when those two things are in line, it gives us great opportunity. So Stephen, it's very important to him, and you'll see some things coming out, and a little teaser into International Women's Day as well. So we'll have a few things happening then. So a lot of exciting news.
A lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, as someone who's bought size 4 boys' shoes their whole life, I'm excited to have a women's size. Guys, thank you.
We'll have that for you. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thanks,
Patrik
everybody.
Frisk and Kevin Plank, the president and CEO of Under Armour.